Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Hello, good Saturday evening, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into the Q2 Weekend News. I'm Dustin Klemann. We begin nationally. The White House is denying reports that President Donald Trump made disparaging comments about some immigrants. Large swaths of land, as you can see behind me, have been destroyed and blackened from the fire here at the Lodgepole complex. That actually started as 11 fires. Fortunately, locals were able to hop on quickly in the first few hours and get that down to 2. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this MTN special presentation. I'm Dustin Klemann. The Montana wildfires of 2017, they've had an impact on our people and our land for months. We're coming to you tonight with stories that shaped our news for months, and we ask for your help. Also to say thank you to those who have already given. They're deemed the Dirty Dozen, 12 locations that are rife with code violations and issues. And they're not just in one part of the city, they're scattered throughout. What John said is important because Montana's labor force of 55 and older is growing by 4,000 people each year. In that case, Montana faces a labor shortage, so those who stay in the workforce can actually fill those gaps. They took their lumps and then they learned some online marketing, and now 97% of the $2.5 million they make in annual sales doesn't come from inside their stores, but rather online, direct to consumers. Since the plan was implemented, Downtown Billings has invested more than $300 million on 317 projects. Now leaders say it's time for them to call their big shot.
We've done 317 base hits.
More than 18,000 vehicles use North 27th Street each day to get to their location, and tens of thousands more use downtown streets to arrive at theirs. With some streets becoming tapped out at certain times of the day, the city is looking toward the future of how they can better traffic flow and safety. The city is working on resolving the issue. I'm Dustin Klemann, MTN News, Billings. The most stolen item in Billings, Montana? Tools. While it might seem obvious, writing down serial numbers or even putting markings on could protect you before it's even stolen.
And Dustin joins us in studio tonight. Dustin, Billings police now have a unit to actually help combat these types of crimes.
Yeah, the street crime unit, which is actually a revival of what they had back in the 90s and 2000s. But due to staffing shortages, they had to cut that. I've been told they've only been going on since mid-January, and they've seen success so far. So we're going to check back in a few months to see what progress that they've had on the Billings streets. Just before more arrived in downtown, the rain stopped and the sun shined through. It was an incredible moment. Also, U.S. Senator Steve Daines today introducing the Back the Blue Act of 2017. That would increase penalties for criminals who intentionally target law enforcement officers and provide new tools for officers to protect themselves. You can read that whole thing on ktvq.com right now. Jay and Janelle, these two know each other quite well. Both served on the City County Planning Board years ago. Speaking with both of them, they've been friends. They talk to each other. They talk highly of each other as well. Tonight, more than 24,000 ballots cast, right?
Right.
County officials expect that to jump by another 4,000, 28,000. So we'll see where those votes end up splitting. We'll be paying attention to it. Good evening, Jay and Janelle. As you can see behind me, people returning their ballots. 41,000 ballots have been returned before the 8 p.m. deadline so far. And election officials expect a couple hundred more. On the ballot, some community issues that are very important. It includes a new mayor for the city of Billings. Cole was overwhelmed with the support. The task at hand isn't lost on him either. Billings mayor is a major undertaking. Now, the process of the Magic City's future takes more than just one voice.
I don't think the motorcycle is going to have to stay in the garage the entire season, and that's good news for me, isn't it now, Dustin?
That is very good news. And the shorts aren't going away for the winter either because, you know,
flip-flops.
Flip-flops. I
good.
remember as a kid, you probably remember, well, you lived in California, so it doesn't matter. But as a kid here in Montana, I guarantee you see kids running around. 35 degrees?
You hang on to it.
It's warming up.
Q2's Dustin Klemann is live at the airport tonight to bring us more details on those plans and what it means for our local pocketbooks. Dustin.
Good evening, Jay and Janelle. Taxpayers can rest assured that they will not be paying a dime for this project. Now, I'm told by airport officials that this is the perfect time. It only comes once every 20 to 30 years, but the planning needs to happen right now. This is what the Billings Airport looked like back in 1992 before its last major renovation. Plans are in the works for an expansion of the concourse, additional bridges at the Billings Logan International Airport.
And that's exactly the impetus for this project, is to make the concourse large enough that we can then add parking positions for up to 8 or 9 aircraft. And that would set up the city probably for the next 30 some years at least.
At an early estimated $40 million price tag, there are several resources for funding, including federal aviation dollars and grants.
Won't be any tax dollars involved. You know, the public always gets excited about that. No tax dollars. We'll do this all with airport funds.
Right now, gates are overburdened. The proposed project would be essential to adding more flight options for passengers.
Well, what it does is it gives me the ability to actually go out and say, can you come to Billings now? Because I have a gate position for you. You know, right now the American Airlines is on the same gate as the Allegiant Airline, and sometimes United uses that gate too, so that gate gets used a lot.
The additional gates, while a major transformation, is only part of the larger picture, with changes to speed of check-in and food options.
One of the things we're looking at doing is making it much better for our customers. You know, way more convenient, a lot more amenities that people are getting, you know, want to see now. You know, it's a different day and age. We're trying to bring all of those amenities up to standard now that people are expecting, because they're seeing them at other airports.
No plans have been finalized yet, but what I'm told is the TSA behind me, which seems quiet right now, but as anybody might know, in the morning it seems very, very busy and the line can stretch. This area would see a major overhaul, making it more streamlined and easier to check in and get to your gate. Also, it would begin September 2019 as construction and would take several years to complete. Jane, Janelle.
All right, thanks, Dustin.
Q2's Dustin Klemann reporting live from the airport here in Billings tonight. Thanks, Dustin.
To know where we're going, we need to revisit our past.
Really what makes Billings special is that it's based on the railroad. It's completely based on the railroad. Although our main industry might not be the railroad anymore, we're still impacted by that early development.
Frederick Billings, 1882. He saw something special. His son, on the other hand,
He said prospects in Billings look as bright as the bottom of a camp fry pan.
Needless to say, he was wrong. The Magic City grabbed its name from the explosion of population in the early 1900s, from 800 people in 1890 to over 10,000 just 20 years later. From there, a town in eastern Montana's prairies blossomed. The late 70s, early 80s meant monumental changes for Billings. The Sheridan Hotel was built, as well as the first interstate bank tower. Since then, the skyline hasn't changed much. Downtown Billings has remarkable landscape, with beauty on every corner. But it's not difficult to find blight, or those in need of a hand up.
Billings needs to step up and stand up. It's time.
Downtown Billings Alliance Executive Director Lisa Harmon and Director of Development Greg Kruger are both set to resign from their posts at the end of the year. But before they do, the Magic City will have a new framework plan, an update of one developed 2 decades ago.
It was a no-brainer. Everything in there was pretty well came into fruition.
Since the plan was implemented, Downtown Billings has invested more than $300 million on 317 projects. Now leaders say it's time for them to call their big shot.
We've done 317 base hits. We need a grand slam.
The future, as dictated by the meeting, includes dining on rooftops, public transportation revamping with trolleys or light rails, less one-way streets, more green space, better lighting, more housing options, and inclusion of Native Americans.
And I believe that downtown is going to lead out some of those broader issues and concerns that we have as a community that need to be addressed boldly by us standing up and saying, this is what I would like to see in my community.
Financially, there are few options. Much of downtown's transformation can be attributed to tax increment finance dollars, funds that are built up by the district's businesses, reinvested into downtown.
I think it's an incredible tool because I'm going to tell you, if we didn't have it, I don't think we would have invested in 300 projects in downtown.
We have so many things that we want to happen, and it all comes down to money. You need people or something, a vehicle to pay for it. And of course, the Chamber supported the Local Option Authority for years, and this discussion supports the need for it even further.
Now with the continued discussion of the One Big Sky Center, which may not look anywhere like its first designs, leaders say this is a pivotal moment in Billings' history, and it better choose wisely.
I don't think it's about one tall building. I don't think that that's a strategy for us as a city. You know, what do we want to be? What's our vision? I think that we need a mixed-use project. We need a game changer, I believe, in Billings.
And if we don't get on the bus that leads us into the next generation, the millennials are not going to come to Billings. And the ones that are here are not going to stay. Whatever happens has to be embraced by the community as a whole.
Whatever happens next won't be considered magic. Rather, the hard work found in a community that's thrived for 135 years. In Billings, I'm Dustin Klemann, MTN News.
Q2's Dustin Klemann introduces us to a Billings company internationally known for their rugged and reliable products.
The operation had modest beginnings. Now, Red Ox, a Billings-based company run by military vets, can be found across the globe, and it's not your average luggage.
I simply put it this way, it's military spec for the civilian market. We put the military strength into it, the redundant failure points, U.S. source materials, things like that. So when you do get to the other side of the planet, you're not going to have a failure of your product.
Owner Jim Markle looked to the internet to grow his business. He and business partner Perry Jones found that difficult in 1997.
Starting out on the internet is when we did was a big failure. We launched our first website over 20 years ago, and after spending a ton of money, it didn't work.
They took their lumps and then they learned some online marketing. And now 97% of the $2.5 million they make in annual sales doesn't come from inside their stores, but rather online, direct to consumers.
All in all, probably the highest use bag that we have in the product line on a daily, year-to-day basis.
That aha moment has put Red Ox in the driver's seat for its future. Bags are primarily made from the same material that replaced the leather in U.S. soldier boots in 1991 and also used in Army backpacks.
The go-to bag for just about any adventure.
Its products are made from material sourced in the United States and assembled in the 406.
It's our path to competitiveness again. We, as a nation, don't really mass produce per se, like say against China, but as a niche producers, we have competitive advantage for small batches.
Markle sees the industrial production business in Montana gaining interest with less regulations and lower equipment taxes. For Red Ox, keeping its ties to Montana as strong as the bags it sells is all part of the process.
I feel like we're at the beginning again. You know, it's really strange that, you grow to another level, you put in a new facility, new machinery, and then you have to start all over again, growing to the next level. That's what it takes. You just have to keep moving up. I would say that we're genuinely invested in Billings. This is my home. I'm here to stay. I believe in my people, and I believe in what we're doing is the right way to go.
In the Magic City, I'm Dustin Klemann, MTN News.